Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. Nice to see everyone. I think I might know a couple faces out there, but I know I haven't met everyone. I work at ADP. Sherry and I actually have a little partnership here where I just help out with clients. I like to join in on the group as well, just to be a resource to her. My role in ADP is to work with the accounting community. I work with a lot of accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers, you name it, and I just help their clients. There's a lot of different reasons for that, but it's just the partnership we find very valid, and ADP loves the CPAs and try to make sure it's a good mutual relationship all around. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Today, I hope to cover just to go over some of the basics. I know a lot of the questions I see in the group sometimes are just covering just payroll basics 101. And I'd like to show you just what you would see from a client's lens, and then how you could also run payroll for a client themselves. And overall, I just want to show you how easy it is. And we'll keep it pretty simple at that. Okay, I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so it's easy for everyone. But this is the screen that your client is going to be seeing when they log in and they're all set up on payroll. I just want to show everyone what their client would be seeing if they run the payroll themselves. So they see good morning and then whatever their name is. There's a search bar. Honestly, if they ever have any questions, it is so funny how the search bar is literally my go-to answer for most things, just because it is very intuitive and it's probably the most helpful tool there is. As far as the layout, there's a lot of different things here on the left-hand side if you see my mouse, but we're just going to keep the bulk of everything we're talking about all right here because this is all payroll related. You can see their next upcoming payroll. It has the check date, pay period. We can look around here to their last payroll, shows you when it was. You could do a lot of cool things here where you track delivery. If it was checks and checks are being delivered and you want to see where those are at, shows you in real time. It has payroll details if you want to get into the nitty gritty. And you can click these three little buttons too, and even more reports that you can look at. You can see if you want to avoid something, you can go find the payroll liability report, a couple other nifty reports that we like to also use. And again, there's no one way to use this page. You can find those reports if you wanted to go over here to the left side reports. You could search reports in the search bar, but probably most commonly, it's all going to be right here for the last payroll. Again, a little reports tab itself, most common reports, payroll summary, payroll details, earnings record. The little calendar here, it'll show you little holidays too coming up if they run payroll on a certain screen. Maybe September 2nd was Labor Day and you can't run payroll on that day. There's going to be a bank delay. So just giving you a heads up on that. Running into the actual payroll itself, here's where you would do it. You run payroll, and this is the exact screen that they see. So it'll take a second to load. And here's what they'll see. They'll see pay period, check date, and the payroll address. Always want to make sure those are right. Pretty quick and easy. Just check. Then you'll see your employees and then what state they work in. If they're multi-jurisdiction, this is really helpful. We have a couple different tools to make sure that they are in compliance, just bare minimums. If they need workers' comp, if retirement's required in the state, super helpful. But you can enter in if they are hourly, if they are salary, and I'm going to minimize this little screen with all the faces. Sorry. And then honestly, as long as everything checks out, you can look at the totals, make sure everything looks right, and just press next. The nice thing about us is that if you press next, it doesn't run the payroll right away. That's one of the biggest feedbacks that we got was, hey, we want to make sure we double check everything as the client. And so you press next. This is if you have any 1099, so you would enter in their information, but you get the preview payroll screen. And that's what one of the biggest feedbacks we got. They wanted to see everything once more before it's finalized. So here's a little bit more details for you. It'll show you the exact amount of cash that is required. And just a heads up, that is only for what is being ran for payroll amount. So that's all the salaries. That's not the processing fee, which if you run payroll on a Friday or on a Thursday, this will be taken out that Friday. And then the payroll fee will be taken out on Monday. It's the most common way there. So again, a little summary screen. Don't have to get too much into the nitty gritty if you guys have any questions about that, but that's straightforward. Keep getting, minimize the screen. There we go. You click approve and it will double check one more time for you. Press approve and you just ran payroll. Let it load here. It'll give you like a little thing. You could, again, it gives you an option to run some reports if you want to get those. Oftentimes I always have somebody ask me, hey, can you give me this? And I can always grab it, but it is as you can see, super easy to get. And then I'm done. And that's it. That is what your client will see. And then if you want to see what you could see, very simply, you'll be able to see all of your clients through here. This is what we have our accountants use. This is what we have our bookkeepers use. I'm sure a couple of you are actually already using this. And so these little things are all your clients. These names, these are all your clients, and you can have access to reports and tax forms right here. You can have the general ledger. We're integrated with QuickBooks, all the big ones. So I know a lot of people love QuickBooks, especially all the bookkeepers out there. So we integrate, and then payroll. And then it would just take you to the same screen and you go through the same process. You can click on more, has all the extra little things here, but this, we can always get lost into so many different tools that we have available for you here, but this is what you would see. And that's pretty much how you would access everything. You can click into the profile and have a little bit more information. There's a lot of data that we give you. We overwhelm people with the data that we have. Compensation benchmarking, vertical IQs. These are reports for different industries. There's a lot that you can get into. I'm just going to keep it very tight. This is pretty much what you would see when you click into a client of yours. With that said, that's pretty much payroll. Any questions on the payroll? I have one or two more things I'd like to just show, but I wanted to keep it really tight and condensed. That's pretty much the payroll portion.
One question that came up was, would it be possible to run an off-cycle payroll for monthly commissions?
Yeah, definitely. I only would highlight that if you are running it, it will take a processing fee. So I know there's a couple out there that you can run as many payrolls as you want. Just be cognizant that if you run an additional payroll, off-cycle payrolls, we do them all the time. I can show you how to do it, but it will be a processing fee. So I would just be cognizant of that. But it is first thing in here. If you can see my screen, just off-cycle payroll, and you go through the same steps. But
and I know you and Rachel, if one of the bookkeepers are working with you guys and it is overwhelming to run it, you actually can get on a call with them and walk them through the first payroll.
yeah, that's actually, we do that with every client. And if they're coming over from another software, so if they're on QuickBooks or on Gusto or on any other payroll platform, we always have an implementation specialist on the call with us just to make sure we have everything going smoothly, because there's a lot that goes into that. And so our implementation specialists are terrific. They double check the numbers. They double check every little nitty gritty detail about the account. So they are the ones that actually are running the client through this first implementation, and they're with them for the first 6 weeks too. So if there's any questions, obviously I advertise myself as, hey, call me or text me. I'm available through text. I'm real time. I'm working here. So if you need anything, I'm available. So they're not calling a 1-800 number, but we also get additional support from that implementation specialist for the first 6 weeks. Just two more things I wanted to show. I'll just exit out here. And we'll exit out here. And then one thing that we always get asked is like how we interact with the clients. We always like to use your relationship with them and be an extension from you. And then one thing that we like to do for them is give them a client appreciation program where they get super excited about this, $500 per referral that they know. So a lot of times we get one little member S corps, maybe they're like a realty company and all of their other coworkers are realtors too that want to start up payroll and they know someone. They could really rack up super easy little rewards here where they get $500 per referral. And on the third one, they get free payroll for the year, up to $2,500. But after that, it resets again. They can get more, another 500. I have some clients that take advantage of this, and I have some clients that don't take any advantage of it. Once they do it once, they get like super excited. They love it. They're getting free payroll and they're getting rewarded. This is one of the things that this is for the client that we'd love to do. And I think it just gets overlooked oftentimes, but this is one thing that they get excited about. So whenever they get excited, I'm like, you know what, let's talk about it more because they like it. Aside from that, I did want to show, I might have to reshare my screen. Just on a little Word document, I have a little thing to show exactly what they're getting with payroll with us. So here's two examples. So essential payroll, This is our baseline payroll. It's on the left-hand side. It pretty much just tells you exactly what we're taking care of the client, and it's very base. So this is like the bare minimum. This is when we're seeing 1 to a couple employees, and it's very simple. And we're like, all right, let's just get them set up on the base thing. They don't get charged for direct deposit. I know that's happening in a couple different places. No charge for direct deposit. We do quarterlies, no extra charge. And then all the things on the left-hand side, as you can see. There's a lot of things I can get into, but I think those are like the main ones that's, oh, wow, like we don't charge for those. And this is all that comes with it on the left-hand side. Also, on the right-hand side, if you have a client, we helped out someone a couple months back from this group that was a roofing company in California, and they needed sexual harassment trainings because it's required by law in California, and they weren't doing them. And we're like, hey, we have a solution for you. You don't have to go out of pocket to a third-party company. It's all included in the payroll. And so this is the HR Pro portion where they get, I mentioned this on the Facebook group a couple weeks back, they can get an employee handbook. They've got ZipRecruiter fully included, 2 job slots with that, 25 background checks, tons of things. One thing that I actually, as an employee of ADP, I take advantage of it is they have it's called LifeMart discounts. It's Life Care and LifeMart. I have a gym membership to any gym in the US, and it's $25 any gym. And I take full advantage of it. It's one of those things that we don't talk much about because it's not payroll, but it's little things like that that get people excited. And I get excited about that myself because I know I take advantage of it. Legal advice. I have a client right now. You can use legal advice consultation with an attorney, and it can be about business. It could also be about if you got parking tickets, which was that gentleman's case. He's got parking tickets, and he took it to the attorney and got his money's worth. So things that we offer with ADP, it's a long list of items here on the right-hand side, so I don't want to drown you out, but that's what we're offering here with base on the left-hand side. This can be most simple 1 to 2 employee companies. Let's just get them on that, make sure they're taken care of. On the right-hand side, we also have other options for clients that need a little bit more HR kind of support.
How big should a client be if they want HR support? How many employees?
Yeah, there's no real easy number there. I've had a client that was actually coming over from Poland, and they were doing government contracting, AI technology. And they're like, look, I've got 5 employees, which not many. I've only got 5, but I need the most compliance. I need HR. I need everything. And I showed him everything that came with HR, and it made total sense to him. And it was just like the best deal for him too, for everything that he is getting. Like he needed all of this types of information, and we gave it to him, and he loves it. Also, we have clients that are maybe mom and pop shop with 15 employees, and that's a very common time where maybe they need a little bit HR support. Maybe there's a lot of hiring and firing along with that. They need to keep the store running with new talent, and they're looking for ZipRecruiter, no cost at all to them. Sometimes ZipRecruiter will charge them like $500 a month, and we are not charging them one bit with HR Pro. And they're getting payroll, they're getting HR support, a lot of different things in here, and mom and pop shops love them too. So I would say it's not one size fits all, but I've seen it. I would say like typically 10 to 15 employees would be a good marker, but it's not always the case. And maybe some people don't see any value in ZipRecruiter and they just want essential, and that's totally fine with me too. So
another question that came up was if the bookkeeper is running payroll and they hit submit, is it sent to the owner for approval? Or once they hit submit, is there any other steps that are required of them?
So there are no any other steps. The bookkeeper would be able to do it. And that happens all on the front end when we're getting them onboarded. We will have the bookkeeper added to the account, and that's in the documents that we get signed saying, hey, like they are able to process payroll for you if you want. If they don't want you to process payroll, then they obviously would not sign that. But we're getting that on the front end to make sure that you have full access to the account. And there's restrictions too. If they want you to have access to the payroll, but they don't want you to have any access to reports, they can exclude that as well. So they can filter how much access they allow you. But most cases, our clients want our bookkeepers and our accountants to have full access to know what's going on and be a helping hand. And that's what we usually see. And so you usually have full access.
So I know in the past, Richard, I had a client who I needed him to recheck his time cards because he would just send them over to me, but he wouldn't really think about them. So I would send him like a screenshot to approve before I actually hit submit, just because I knew that as a business owner, he wasn't really processing what he was sending to me. So that could be like an internal step that you might, if you have a client that's just not paying attention.
For me, that's all I really wanted to share. I wanted to keep it super basic, super focused of, hey, it's payroll. This is the basic outline for us, just so people know a little bit more about ADP. Right now, we do have 4 months free. So if you have a client that's obviously October's coming up and we have quarterlies going on right now, that's a super great time. 4 months free for all sizes of clients, especially as we head to the end of the year. A lot of these promotions, they change monthly for us. So we'll see some outrageous ones. We roll out the red carpet just because we know it's a lively time for clients to be evaluating payroll platforms. If you have any questions about the promotions that we're currently offering, that's what we have.
I know I love working with you and Rachel. Y'all are awesome. Justin, you and Rachel help with the big unknowns. So I know one time I had a client that was doing some weird stuff and I was like, Rachel, here you go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she was able
And
to jump in and help.
yeah. And the thing is, if you don't know, if you aren't sure, it's and we can keep it fully. Hey, let's get the client online. Let's have you online. We do a little, like, we love WebEx. So let's hop on a WebEx and let's hash it out and let's see what they're taking care of, what they're not taking care of, what state they're in. Are they multi-jurisdictions? Are they in compliance in all the jurisdictions that they're in? And just start from that baseline and just make sure that, hey, they're compliant. Maybe some things aren't working well, but they're getting by. Then we can come up with a solution from there. But that's our big thing is, hey, are you liable too? For us, we're using ADP, taking full liability. Let us take that on. So that's one of the things that most of our partners like with it. They're like, I don't want to get in the weeds with it. I don't want to have any type of liability here. Handle it. And that's where we come in. And there's no one way that we do it, but typically too, it's super easy just to get on a call and just hash it out, see what they like, what they don't like. Oftentimes, if it's a very small client, I think you said it was a very small client, I have clients that they're worried they're going to miss and they're worried that they are hands off. And so we even have options where, hey, if you're going to run a set amount each week or each 2 weeks or each month, however they want to set it up, let's do automatic payroll too. We have that where they can set it up automatically. And if they want to go in beforehand and alter things, they can. But that's even a nice tool for a lot of clients that we have that are, very small and they know what they want to pay themselves. Automatic payments are pretty nice too to set up.
So often I know, especially new bookkeepers, they'll have a client say, hey, can you run payroll for me? And they don't recognize the liability that they're taking on by not going through someone like ADP. So if you're looking at liability insurance for your bookkeeping business, if you just tell your liability insurance that, hey, I'm a bookkeeper, I'm doing bookkeeping, oftentimes processing payroll and you being the one that files those payroll reports, side note, you actually need a P10, but all of those things, like there is a lot of compliance with those reports. And that's why I definitely recommend doing a third party like ADP, because not only can they help with, hey, this client has never had an employee in the state before, what do they need? They take on that liability that's often not covered. Like you would have to go back to your liability insurance and say, hey, now I'm setting up to do these reports. How does onboarding work? So do we ask, oh, this is a great question. Do we act as a middleman or do we connect you with the client to work directly with them?
Yeah, I think it's based off of what your desire is and maybe what the client's desire is. I've had some clients that are super hands-on and they're like, nope, I know exactly what I need and they want to be involved in the process. And then I've had some where I went strictly even through the bookkeeper. We had the blessing from the owner and the owner wanted to do it, but I just worked with the bookkeeper to get what was needed done. So we can go either way. I think easy enough is just have a conversation with the both of them and then just figure out what you guys would like and we can make that happen. But I've done both ways.
So Dresden, if you're like, hey, I don't have time for this, like absolutely connecting the client directly with them is super seamless.
Yep. And just to add on that too, we do have a deal desk. They're like a service team that helps us in onboarding to pull different reports from different software companies. So if they're already with QuickBooks, already with Gusto, and there's different things that are needed from different companies, we have a deal desk specialist that will hop on a call with the client, and they'll share their screen and they'll be like, all right, with a little highlighter, they'll be like, click on here, pull this report. So it's super hands-on, and we walk them through on just, that's got to be the most strugglesome part, is getting those documents, and they make it very seamless.
One of the reasons we wanted to bring Justin on today was payroll does feel very scary. By far, working with a third party like ADP makes it so that you can add it as an offering where you're just overseeing or peripherally like making sure it's right. So even if you're doing just basic bookkeeping and the client has payroll, you still have to reconcile payroll. So making sure it's correct, like even if you're not running payroll or charging for payroll, like it should still be correct. And there is nothing worse than a client trying to like do their own payroll. Like I literally had this happen this year. And the way that they had mapped it was funky. Like it wouldn't reconcile to their bank because of the way that they were doing their journal entries. And I wasn't charging them for payroll because they were handling payroll. So if you get yourself into that situation, and I was able to handle it because it was out of scope, but ADP can come in and support that. You should never get to that point working with an ADP client because there's ADP support for clients at that. Has this helped you guys feel more confident in saying yes to a payroll client in terms of either being able to use ADP's support to hand them in essence off to ADP so that they're getting that direct one-to-one support? Or does it make you feel more comfortable about hitting submit on payroll for your clients? Do you process international payroll? And if so, how many countries can ADP process for?
Gosh, the number of countries, I think it's like, the last time I checked was like 170. I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that, but there's a good amount. I have a partner that I actually work with that does international payroll. So case by case basis, depending on the country. I know we don't do all the countries. That would be case by case basis, but we do international. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us and just talking basic payroll. I know it's something every client needs, and it's one of those, it's like taxes and payroll. Can you do, two of the three things that they need? Thank you for supporting all of us doing that, and just the support that you guys provide. It's super helpful.
Likewise. Love your support, Sherry. Thank you so much for having me on. And yeah, I'd love to do it again. If anybody ever needs any questions answered, reach out to me, and I'd love to talk you through.
Yep. If you guys we love doing these. So if you guys have a topic, we're always happy to invite them back on. So, Leo, thank you, Justin. Thank you guys for joining us, Leo. Well, thank you guys. I will see you guys. Have a great weekend. All of those things. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.